Hello, welcome back to another one of my video, and for this video I'll focus a little bit on golden age comics in general. When it comes down to collecting comic books, I'm a big nutcase when it comes to high grade bronze, silver age books, but when it comes to golden age, I don't mind at all owning books that are low grade as long as it is complete. I don't even mind restoration for the most part because it's a different era of books. In the old days where kids enjoyed these books, and if it was rip or tears, they put some glue on it to patch up the books. It's okay. It's the time. It says a lot about the time and what kids or children or even collectors think about the books back then. The idea of collecting wasn't in the mainstream mind yet. These books was meant to be enjoyed. So here's a copy of Action Comics 56. As usual, green is one of my favorite color, as well as yellow and red. So when I saw this book, it was an easy decision to buy it. Also, one of my wacky, weird ways of collecting is, since my birthday is November 13, I tend to focus on books that are published in the month of November, especially when it comes down to Golden Age. One of the problem with collecting is there are just so many books out there to collect. So for me, it's easy to try to figure out a way to narrow down what I want to collect, so that is easy on my brain. And for sure, collecting books that come out in November for Golden Age is one way I narrow down what I can buy, so that it's not overwhelming to just see so many things that you want to have and like to have. So this is let's see. This book came out. The published date here is, let's see, January 1943. So most likely it was on the stand or on the rack around November of 1942. One other thing I like about Golden Age comic books is the thickness of the cover stock. Back then, not that they were not trying to be cheap, but I think the process of producing paper back in the 30s and 40s have not advanced to a point where they can make cheaper paper. So sure, this may have been cheap stuff, but it was still pretty thick compared to what Silver Age and Bronze Age and later become. So look at this book. There are some stain, moisture damage there, not a big deal. And most Golden Age books tend to have pretty decent page inside, because as I mentioned already, they haven't come up with a cheaper way to produce cheaper paper. So you tend to have pretty decent white or off-white. Look at that, this is white for something that is literally 70 plus years. Unbelievable. It's a white page. Sure, the cover, most Golden Age book cover stock tend to be yellow or brown, so that's almost given. But look at the color, the vibrant color of this book. Look at the green. Wow. I love flipping through these Golden Age book and see the vibrant. Look at that red and green. It's beautiful. It's well done. It may be 1940 something, but as you can see, a lot of effort went in to produce these books. You have to understand that when you think about the 1930s and 40s, what's neat about the Golden Age is this is literally one of the very few form of entertainment for kids and adults. You're talking, there's no TV. You're talking about people sitting around listening to the radio for entertainment, Look at that. Very well done, very well drawn, very well colored. It's good stuff, I think it's very neat that, when you flip through these golden age book, you see no ads. Okay, so the way books were produced back then, it's not like today, or through the Silver Age and Bronze Age and Copper, where you see tons of ads every few pages, but there are none. And like most Golden Age books, the story tend to be short. Okay, you're not gonna see any multiple arc storylines for most Golden Age books, and usually, most Golden Age books contain multiple stories. So this is, another story that's not Superman related, but it's fun to flip through these things, and as you can see, there is no ads. Okay, so the concept of advertising hasn't invaded this medium yet. There are some ads. Let me show you. Usually for Golden Age book, you tend to see ads on the last page. As you can see, this book, the top staple is barely hanging on. But this is it. For this book, this is really the only ads. When people talk about what comic books back in the Golden Age was created for, as you can see from some of the ads here, it's not really for children. Sure, the form of entertainment was produced for children, but if you look at the ads of some of these books, they definitely geared toward adult too, because a lot of the children wouldn't be interested in many of the ads, if as few as they were in this book. Here is Sensation Comic number 13. As I mentioned before, I tend to buy things that are 11 or 13, and this one is 13, and my luck has it also was on the stand in November of let's see what year, 1942. So basically this book and this book was on the stand about the same time. What's also neat about this Sensation comic is it's on the stand, I believe, the same time as Wonder Woman number 1. The first issue of Wonder Woman came out about the same time as this issue. I can see wartime. Okay, so you have the Hitler, the Japanese Mussolini, and once again you can see as usual the cover interior is fairly yellow and brown, but it's a quite heavy thick stock, and the color inside is vibrant, beautiful. I love these classic Wonder Woman. I love the way they write Wonder Woman. Beautiful. I love this book. The drawing inside is very good, very sharp, very clean. This is a neat issue where Wonder Woman have to go and retrieve her costume again. I actually like this the first incarnation of Wonder Woman, as far as I'm not sure what you call it, the skirts. I'm just gonna flip through this real quick so that you can see the interior of this book. It's just really fun read. It's definitely not a long story as in most Golden Age. You see it's 13 page and that's it. And then here you see some ad of the upcoming Wonder Woman issue number 2 right here, and an All-Star Comics. but basically it's more so in advertising for the company, not outside advertising. And here you have another story. As in most golden age book, you have sometimes up to 3 or 4 different story in the book, but as you can see, no ads outside of ads for the company books itself. And as you can see, the page of this book is beautiful. It's white. And so look at this. Okay, so you get to the end, and here is the last page. It's an advertisement for a billfold wallet. So as I mentioned, if these things was produced, it was really meant for everyone to enjoy, not just children. So you certainly don't advertise with an ad for a billfold like this for 10-year-old to buy. Even look at that, radio technician. So really, it's what's fun about collecting golden age books is you kind of step back in time and see what this thing was meant for and what the audience was. Last but not least is this Captain Marvel Jr. A lot of golden age book that was produced during wartime was they produced with one staple, okay, in order to save material for the war. So this have a neat Robinson News Agency. I try to Google that, but I'm sure this place has changed or went out of business decades ago. But it's always neat to find stamp like this and trying to figure out if the business or store still exists. And this one came out in 1944, also in November of 1940. Actually, it came out in November of 1943. As the date here shows January 1944. The drawing of this book is actually really good. It reminds me a lot of Frank Frazetta, believe it or not. If you look at the style of drawing of the face, it's beautiful, very well drawn, and it certainly reminded me of how Frank Frazetta would draw. It's not Frank that draw this book, but it's a beautiful book. And what's neat about golden age comic books that they were produced is one of the main form of entertainment for people back then is they were not designed to be collected, so they were produced a lot. It'd be shocking for most people to know that back in the 40s, literally hundreds of thousands of these books were produced, but because the idea, the concept of collecting has not gone mainstream yet for decades to come, many of these books were thrown away, recycled for the war help. They encouraged to recycle even back then. So that's why there are a lot of rarities to many of these books, because they were read, enjoyed, and then recycled or thrown away. And it's neat to collect these books now because it's kind of fun to imagine how many people enjoyed them over the past 70 plus years. It's amazing to think about how many children, kids, adults flipped through this book in the 40s and 50s. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching. Bye.